a new documentary about the King aired last night, full of behind-the-scenes details about the royals.
The film, titled King Charles III, The Coronation Year, showed a new side of the monarch, including the affection he feels for his family.
The Prince of Wales has a key role in the coronation.
What struck me particularly is how extraordinarily affectionate they are. They're clearly a very close family, you know, of all the generations. And in a sense, you felt you're part of a family occasion as well as, you know, a royal occasion and a national occasion.
Joining us now is royal commentator Rupert Bell. Rupert, this documentary took us further behind the scenes at the palace than ever before. Were there any surprises in there?
I don't think so. What it actually seemed to me to be 2 hours of a pretty good PR campaign, because clearly it showed him in a very good light. And I suppose that's the point of it. But actually, there's lots of little layers to it, you know, seeing all the people who are working to make, well, all aspects of the royal life work. And it is a huge firm, as it were. But you do see the sort of warmth and affection that he is held, and the stories about his involvement in the Prince's Trust, or how he helped a couple of people back in 1986 who now employ a couple of hundred people, I think, in TalkTV, when he gave them £2,000. Just shows the kind of work that he's been involved in. You've seen, and also the central role of the Queen in ensuring that he sort of kept on. Well, the yin and the yang, as I think the Princess Royal described their relationship, and how successful that has been in moulding the current king.
Rupert, you're absolutely right. I watched it last night, and I did think that it was a bit too long, even for somebody who's very interested in the royal family. And it was very effective in sort of building up, particularly Camilla's role, I thought. And we had those interviews with her sister and her other, what used to be called ladies-in-waiting, Queen's companion, talking about sort of what a good sense of humour she has. I particularly liked the line that was said about her, in that she has a great twinkle and knows when and when not to wink at a bishop.
Well, I think anyone who's come in contact her always says what a good sense of humour she has, and brings a levity to an occasion. She can sort of deal with the sort of pomposity that sometimes surrounds these events and just put people at ease. And I think that's her great art, and what the King values so enormously. Yes, you're right. 2 hours. It was quite a watch. But anyway, that was the decision. And actually, for the BBC, of course, they've had come into problems with the royal family. But to actually get a 2-hour peak time programme shows that the royal family still value them. And actually, I think they'll be pretty pleased with the coverage they've got, and the way it sort of has shown how the King has gone about his business. The nice sort of scenes as they rehearsed the coronation. When you actually watched it, and we all knew and sort of what was going to happen, but when you see it sort of unfold in the programme, and the way he sort of had a twinkle in his eye, the King that is, with the Archbishop of Canterbury after he messed up his lines, and then the affection for William when he kisses his father in the rehearsal. It actually it sort of gave you a sort of warm glow. But I suppose that's exactly what the programme makers wanted, to show the Queen and King in a positive light.
So Rupert, maybe I'm just extremely gullible, but genuinely I watched it and I thought, I quite like him, actually. He seems really lovely. And he's developing into that similar role that I think that we held the Queen as the mother, the grandmother of the country. That's what I'm starting to see with King Charles.
Yes, I suppose when you step into this after we talked about succession. You've just been talking to Johnny Gould about the Alex Ferguson succession problem. Okay, this is a very different set of circumstances, but the Queen, the late Queen, dominated our lives, and she was around for all and sundry. Now he's basically having to ease himself into his position in the eyes of the public, and this programme is an extremely good way of doing it and showing his normal side. That, you know, occasionally during the period of mourning, we saw those moments when we had the Pengate and he looked a bit grumpy. But actually, you see from this that may be just not really him, and shows that he does have a warm touch. And okay, the sort of way he goes about it, you might say it looks a bit stiff and stilted, but actually it does show him in a really interesting light, in that he is someone who genuinely cares about all sorts of things. And I think that was reflected in the King's speech that he gave on Christmas Day. that he is passionate about so many things. And I suppose, you know, the Princess Trust is a manifestation of that, but his other work as well, that when he does something, he wants to be wholly committed to it, 100%.
I think you're right, Rupert, and it showed him, I think, as a very emotional man. And obviously that emotion can come out with being a bit grumpy about a pen, or it can come out where at one point, a couple of points in the documentary, he did look like he was quite teary-eyed at this sort of emotion and responsibility. Rupert, just before we lose you, I just want to ask you about Fergie. Obviously, we saw on Christmas Day, Sandringham, we saw both Andrew and Fergie seemingly being welcomed back into the fold. I thought that was fascinating.
I think it is, and actually we're hearing that the Queen has allowed her to be have a funeral service in St George's Chapel, and so there's the interesting thing about Fergie. I think they've always valued her sort of calmness around Prince Andrew, and actually, given his situation, they see her influence as a hugely positive one as he goes through sorting out the difficulties, many of his own making. And I have to say, Fergie is now back in the fold.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rupert Bell, world commentator. I like King Charles. I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, you're warming to him.
I'm warming to him. I am.
JJ, you've changed.
I have changed. What have you done to me?